Attention crew, this is your Captain Caliban speaking. This is a supplemental episode of Enterprising Individuals, where we bring you news and tidbits from the world of Trek, also interviews with special guests, and a few little surprises along the way. Well, summer is finally winding down, and we're moving into fall. The time when, in the past, we could expect our new shows to return to television. Of course, we live in a new age now. A digital age. And shows, much like podcasts, arrive when they're done. And so it is with Star Trek. There are a lot of Star Trek shows on the way, fairly imminently, as I'm sure you're aware. But you're maybe not aware of the latest developments in the world of Star Trek TV and, plot twist, some Star Trek films. So Mikanhana of the Just Enough Trope and Sailor Noob podcasts is back on the show today to help me run down all of the latest Star Trek news that was announced this recent Star Trek Day and some since. If you're interested in following Mika back to Just Enough Trope or Sailor Noob, stay at least 2 car lengths behind and remain inconspicuous, and go to justenoughtrope.com or look us up on Twitter at @JustEnoughTrope to find all of the programs on the Just Enough Trope network. Or you can go to Linktree. We have a Linktree. It goes like this: linktr.ee/. Just Enough Trope, and everything can be found there too. This show can be found, of course, on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPod. And don't forget that this Thursday and every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central, I and my co-host Ella Pearson are going live to discuss the most recent episode of Lower Decks, and in just a few short weeks, the 4th season of Star Trek Discovery. So join us for a fun breakdown of that night's episode. If you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/EISTpod to become a member of the crew and get access to our subscriber content. And that's it for me. Enjoy the bitter dregs of summer while you can. While you can. And with that, let's get underway.
I got intimidated that there were 205 songs, and I was like, I'm going to look at this later.
Oh, I'm going to wreck it for you. In the Garage, number 1. What do you think?
Solid. I don't know if I would put it at number 1. But I think...
Surf Wax America.
No, I wouldn't put Surf Wax America at number 1. I mean...
Beverly Hills it is.
No.
Spoiler, Beverly Hills 204. Now that's just spite.
That is spite, because I feel like that was
we all know that Beverly Hills wasn't like the beginning of the end. Beverly Hills was like in the movies when somebody's sick and they spit blood into a thing, into a handkerchief.
Yeah.
That's how we know.
Yeah.
In the 3rd act.
Yeah.
Like Beverly Hills is when the person actually goes, I'm fine, and then falls down, and then beep, they're in the hospital next scene, right? That was the start of the end.
See, I disagree. Okay, yeah, the start of the end, I feel like that's when I felt like, but I'm a weird Weezer fan because I liked Make Believe. That was my least favorite song on Make Believe, but I felt like the rest of the album was actually fairly solid, but I don't think that a lot of other fans necessarily agree with that.
Well,
so
I feel like Beverly Hills is not great,
right,
but it is a well-crafted song, and it is emblematic of what they were trying to accomplish on Make Believe and really for the rest of their career. So why is that second to last out of 205?
I think that's called spite. Is what I think that's called.
Yeah, and the person who did that, I don't even remember what site it was for. Maybe you can tell me. Nope. It was said like, look, I'm the perfect person to do this list because I have no skin in the game.
Yeah,
like
right.
I am somebody who, like most people, enjoyed Weezer earlier, left the fold after they went down, and haven't really been paying attention to anything else. And so I'm doing this objectively. I'm not and then also like the article opens with what I think is like a false dichotomy, which is that there are 2 kinds of Weezer fans. Ones who are like, I like Blue Album and Pinkerton and forget the rest. And the other ones who just keep holding on and waiting. It's like, first of all, I don't think most people don't actually think about Weezer all that much. And then there's 2 kinds of people, in my opinion. People who don't think about Weezer all that much, and people who will listen to literally anything and are listening to anything. And also Weezer comes out and they're like, oh, it's another song.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they didn't put Beverly Hills at number 205, so they thought they were doing a solid. But yeah, it's just spite.
You thought summer would last forever, you
sure
and your
did.
super toys, but you were wrong. Because summer is coming to an end. Yeah, not that anybody got to do anything.
No.
But, whatever you didn't get to do, you can't not do anymore. because the fall is here.
It
and
is.
I'm joined on this show by Mikanhana from the Just Enough Trope podcast and also the Sailor Noob podcast.
Hello. It's good to be here.
To help me round up the news. And what a year it's been. It's September. But we're not done yet.
Yep.
What's going on over at Sailor Noob?
We are actually really close to the end of Sailor Moon R, which is the second season of Sailor Moon, and things are kind of coming to a head with the bad guys, and we will be covering the movie very shortly as well. So looking forward to that. There's a Sailor Moon R movie, so yeah.
But that's not the end of Sailor Moon.
No, there are...
Not by a long shot.
No, there are 200 episodes of the original 90s anime. So, yeah, and by the end of this season, I think we're only up to 89, I think. So, yeah, no, I guess we're not quite halfway through, even though it's only 2 seasons so far. So yeah. But looking forward to covering that, and it's always interesting to watching that and experiencing that with you, somebody who brings like fresh eyes to it and has a new experiences that go along with that.
Well, I've learned a lot, not just from watching the show and about the show, but also Japanese culture, because every week, one of the things you do on the show is you pick an aspect of Japanese culture that's seen in the episode and expand on it and tell us more about it. And I've learned about the Japanese economic miracle, to why Ferris wheels were so popular in Japan, and about...
just talked about street fashion.
Moss balls.
Yeah.
And careful when you're crossing the river in the afterlife, because the hands are going to get you and pull you in the water.
That's right.
There's snakes in the water.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in the water.
And you do not want to go in the water.
Lots of different stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a real education.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of getting ready for the show too, because I always learn something new as well. So, it's fun. It's nostalgic for me. It's fun for me. So I love sharing something that I am very passionate about.
Well, then it's all worth it.
Yes.
And it's also worth it to talk about Star Trek news. And, oh, baby, we talked about a lot of things when you were on to talk about the news last March.
Yes.
6 months ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Not to the day, but close. And we have updates on most of those stories.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just going to go bit by bit. So we'll dive right in here. And obviously, Star Trek Day was on September 8th.
Yes.
And there was a series of panels and interviews that gave us updates on Trek properties and things in development. So last time you were on, we talked about how Star Trek IV, the film, was back on.
Yes.
With writer and producer Kalinda Vasquez writing the script. But there's a twist.
Uh-oh.
There's another Star Trek film, which we also kind of talked about. But it was never certain if these were both the same thing or different things.
Yes.
So here's the poop on that.
Okay.
That's a naval term. Poop. This Tuesday, Viacom CBS officially confirmed that Paramount chairman and CEO Jim Giannopoulos is leaving, and Brian Robbins is taking his place. And he'll be the president and CEO of the studio. Now, he's the president of Nickelodeon. So they're bringing him over.
Interesting.
And we'll talk about why in a second.
Okay.
And after all that work, merging Viacom and CBS and Paramount, the studio is now splitting up its film and television division.
What?
So Paramount's television studios will become part of the premium network group under the leadership of Showtime and their CEO, David Nevins, who oversees all the scripted television for Paramount Plus. So the boss of Showtime is also the overseer of Paramount Plus and the entire TV division of Paramount. Does it ever seem like all these mergers and consolidations are just a chance to like fire 2,000 people? Clear the books a little?
Yeah, right. And who really gets affected by that? Like not the bigwigs, probably.
Well, middle managers, but also people who just got hired probably 6 months ago.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, the focus for Viacom CBS remains streaming, their streaming services.
Okay.
Apparently, outgoing president Giannopoulos he didn't want to emphasize streaming over theatrical films, but Chairman Sherry Redstone, who we've talked about, daughter of Sumner Redstone, was receptive to the streaming focus. And here comes Brian Robbins and his focus on streaming and getting the stuff out there.
Yeah.
To expect all your Nickelodeon shows to be leaving HBO Max soon, probably, right?
Probably, yeah.
He brings in a younger audience, right? Nickelodeon.
Right. Yes.
So Giannopoulos is Fonzie, Brian is Chachi. He skews younger. And let's be honest, you know, what's the last Paramount movie you saw?
I honestly...
I'll tell you what it is.
Oh.
It was Snake Eyes. Paramount makes terrible films.
What a stinker.
And, you know, it's not like, you know, we've talked before on Just Enough Trope about how Sony was this close, you know, a Kim Jong-un's hair away from just giving up and selling their entire movie division like 5 years ago. And then they made this deal with Marvel, and now they're just making $1 billion Spider-Man movies again.
And like, it's never derailing.
Paramount has a long, going back to Star Trek, literally going back to Star Trek, and Desilu has a long-ass history in TV.
Yeah.
You don't need to be in movies.
No.
You don't have to do that.
No. Maybe stick to what you know.
Sell Transformers for $5 billion to somebody else. Get out of there. Just make... So, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but they are definitely leaning towards, let's get these crappy murder shows on Paramount Plus. You know, my husband said the same thing before I killed him, or whatever, you know, it is.
What?
So anyway, Paramount makes terrible movies. Is this a story about a Star Trek movie? Scratch that. Okay, kid, here's where it gets complicated.
Okay.
Giannopoulos, in a memo about the transition, mentioned multiple Star Trek films being in the works. And this came out recently, like right before his ouster.
Okay.
There's one literally on the release calendar right now. Date June 9, 2023. That'll be directed by Matt Shakman, late of WandaVision.
Okay, right.
With a script that's already completed. I'm not sure who wrote it. But there's the J.J. Abrams produced second Trek film that we reported on before.
Yes.
Written by Kalinda Vasquez.
Okay.
So there's 2 Trek films.
Well, that has been confirmed then. Okay.
2 confirmed films.
Yeah.
Now, the last Trek film that came out was Star Trek Beyond, 2016.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Which predates Giannopoulos' time at the studio. So he hasn't even been there for 5 years.
No.
In 2020, he brought in Emma Watts to oversee the film side, and she had worked previously with him at Fox. And she put all the Star Trek projects on hold. She's the one that came in and went, we're not paying for Thor, forget it, shut it down, shut it all down, no movies.
Okay.
So boo her.
Yeah, right.
She also kiboshed the Noah Hawley one, which we talked about before.
Yeah.
Which was pandemic themed.
Oh.
Maybe too topical.
Well, maybe not right now.
Now, Watts is still with the studio on the movie side.
All right.
But these projects are going forward. Both of these films are in production. They could be competing with each other. We don't know.
Okay. That's bad.
But we do know that what is not going forward is the Chris Hemsworth project.
Oh.
That's dead.
So him as Kirk's dad.
Yeah.
That's not going forward.
No.
Okay.
Nor is the Quentin Tarantino project that's been knocked around for a while.
Oh, really? I never, honestly, I was never 100% sure how to feel about it. I think that Quentin Tarantino could have brought something interesting
Save
to
that.
it.
Save that thought.
Okay.
Because talking about Watts, we reported in March that Nicholas Meyer had pitched his Khan prequel to Paramount.
Yes.
Nothing has come out about that.
Okay.
But he pitched it to Watts. So, if she is in charge, but not in charge of the Star Trek stuff anymore, because clearly she would just say, that's not a movie. Go talk to Alex Kurtzman. We're not doing that here.
She doesn't like Star Trek.
But if she has been overridden on these 2 films and they're looking for stuff, and with the division of the studio between TV and movies, and its apparent rapacious hunger for new TV content, maybe we get the Khan thing on TV.
Maybe that's a better place for it.
Nick, if you're listening to this right now, call somebody at Secret Hideout.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's talk about the Tarantino movie. The project is dead. The killer, Rod Roddenberry.
Why?
The son of Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
Not on board. Doesn't want Quentin Tarantino to make a stab at the franchise.
Get that Quentin Tarantino out of my Star Trek.
Tarantino was working on a film, script with Revenant screenwriter Mark L. Smith.
Okay.
Now, nobody saw a copy of anything. I don't know if there was a draft. Just going over to Quentin's for 2 weekends in a row and watching Star Trek doesn't mean that you have a script necessarily.
No.
But they were, working on it. Oscar-winning screenwriter, Oscar-winning director, want to do a Star Trek. The Matt Shakman film has obviously superseded the idea of that, so they're not really waiting on the Tarantino thing anymore. Mm-hmm. But despite that, recently in an interview, Rod decided to let us know that he did not like the idea of that. He said, quote, "I'm pretty myopic with the way I see Star Trek." Humble brag. He goes on to say, if you create a Star Trek that's just action, that's not Star Trek in my opinion. He goes on to say, that's what makes it different than Star Wars. And I love Star Wars, but they can coexist. Rod, nobody was talking about Star Wars. You started talking about Star Wars. You brought
Star Wars.
Also, you also needed to reaffirm, without anybody saying that there was a conflict, that they both are allowed to exist. Okay. He goes on to say, I do not think that... It's okay to use contractions. That's fine. I do not think that you could say there he goes, going to do a Reservoir Dogs Star Trek. Nobody was saying that,
Nobody
Rod.
said that.
I'll be honest, that doesn't work for me. But he is a fan. And I think as a fan, he probably understands to some degree that Star Trek has to have some of this messaging. He loves Star Trek so much to know that he doesn't belong here.
He said that?
That's, sorry, did I forget to say unquote after that
last
sentence?
Yeah, you did.
That was my interpretation of his last sentence.
I mean, more or less.
Clearly he was coming out of a restaurant and he was not thinking about this at all. And somebody said, what about Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah,
He's like,
right.
Oh, everybody can love Star Trek and Star Wars is great too, but Quentin Tarantino should know that, Star Trek is better off if he's not involved. That's essentially what he's saying.
That is essentially what he said. And
yes.
That makes me angry as a Trek and Tarantino
You know what
fan.
made him angry? The SNL sketch that William Shatner did on Saturday Night Live. That 40-year-old sketch?
Which one? Where he's at a
Get
con?
a life!
Yeah, that
Mika.
one. Yeah, right. I know that one.
He said, quote, I never really appreciated that skit because I think it was demeaning to the fans. This is an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. He goes on to say, I think it was disrespectful, especially for a character who was an open-minded, intelligent leader. Who was a leader? That guy that likes riding horses? TJ Hooker?
Yeah, right.
TJ Hooker was a leader?
Yeah, right.
Are you Adrian Samed? If you're not, he's not a leader. He's just an actor from Canada.
Yeah, he is an actor from Canada. Yeah, he's gonna. You tell him where to be, there's a paycheck, he'll be there. That's. I mean, I think maybe some fans may have taken offense at that, but it's a joke, we all also have gotten over it, Why are we bringing it up 40 years later?
I know, right. And it's like, Trek fans, you've been online, right? Yeah. They need to be taken down a peg, including this show. I welcome all fans to take this show all the way down to the ground. I don't care. Shatner himself also said something about the SNL sketch recently, but who cares?
God.
Who can make any sense of what that guy's talking about?
Seriously.
I literally read the comment and I had no idea what he was talking about. There were no horses involved, so I decided to leave it out. So Forget that. Anyway, we've got 2 Star Trek shows coming.
Okay.
Possibly they'll have to fight on a planet with diamond and gunpowder deposits to see who wins. But maybe we'll get them both.
Maybe Abraham Lincoln will be there.
That's a different one.
I know it is.
Similar.
Yeah,
he'll come to help out.
Yeah.
Big guy, big reach. So let's talk about Star Trek TV. Now, we know that there last time we talked about this, that there were 5 Star Trek shows in production. Strange New Worlds, Discovery.
Yep.
These are ongoing.
Yeah.
Picard, Lower Decks, Prodigy. We've got something to add to that. But first, let's rewind and talk about Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Now, when we were talking in March, the show had just begun production.
Yeah, and I think
it is finished production.
Okay.
And so now it goes to the goblins that do all the effects and stuff like that.
Sure.
They're not goblins. They're elves.
They're elves, yes.
That live in a tree.
Yes, because they're magical.
And so we don't know a lot about what's going to happen with it, but we do know some of the cast members. The cast members were announced recently, and now more recently, but last week, their roles were announced as well.
It's kind of interesting the way that they're doling this information out. I'm not exactly sure.
Bob Dole is not on the show. Although.
But it's
interesting.
Would he be holding a pen?
I think that 23rd century technology would have been able to fix his. Would have fixed his
hand.
His problem.
Yeah.
Get hold of hypospray.
Sure. There you go. I just think it's interesting that like 6 months later, after we get like the casting news, we find out the roles that they're playing. It's almost like. I mean, I guess in a way I'm glad they let us know beforehand, but it's almost like, oh, we're going to keep this a secret as long as we can.
Yeah, I'm sure the actors knew what to call each other on set.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah, but we don't get to know that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little strange.
We know that actress Jess Bush is playing Nurse Christine Chapel. And to answer your question, her hair is blonde in the screenshot that we see, although I'm sure it will change.
She'll have different wigs.
Can you... Are there people? I don't color my hair anymore. I used to.
Sure.
Could a woman just for 16 years be like every day it's different? Because we've got the Total Recall thing. You just like instead of touching your finger, you just stick it into your forehead, and then all your hair goes. I'm purple now. Would she?
I mean, you can.
Or is this a thing where it's like I need to get Spock's attention, so.
Well, gosh.
All the colors of the rainbow. Infinite diversity in infinite coiffures.
I mean, I don't really think that's how you get Spock's attention. But sure, maybe that is what she's going for. I mean, maybe you get Spock's attention by just casually reading a book of poetry or something like that. Like, oh, what, this? Yeah, I love Yeats. I don't know. But... or just being a work of art like we saw in the one of that.
I'm still having a reaction to Spock liking Yeats.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I didn't pick the right poet.
He absolutely.
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Tired 1960s Spock likes Yeats. Wired 21 Spock likes Pablo Neruda or something like that.
Sure, right.
But what's the real like?
Whitman?
That's even more
I don't
retrograde.
know. I don't know.
The thing about poets is that they're not of the now, are they?
Yeah, that's true.
You have to have like, it's Buffalo Bill's defunct. Oh, wow, that was great. 65 years ago. This guy doesn't capitalize letters.
Right.
I don't know. Poetry.
I mean,
the new poetry is the Camila Cabello single.
Oh, stop it.
Music is the food of love. And the drink of poetry.
Oh my goodness! It just reminds me of when Batgirl was on TOS, and she keeps spouting Shakespeare and said she wrote it yesterday.
Right, that's tired.
Yeah. But
if she did that now,
it
would be Smith's lyrics.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
She'd be dancing. She'd be like, there's a club if you want to go. You might meet someone that really loves you. You're like, what are you talking about? I wrote that yesterday.
I love it. I think it's great.
All right.
I'm not exactly sure how I feel about them.
Only 10 more minutes on Christine Chapel.
Okay, about them bringing back all of these.
We
characters.
haven't got to all these yet.
Okay, go ahead.
You're giving away the fact that you know what the news story is, so I will go through it fast. Bob's Olusanmokun is playing Dr. Mabenga. Celia Rose Gooding is playing Cadet Nyota Uhura. I know those names.
Yes.
Let's watch this show.
Yeah.
Next up, Melissa Navia is playing Lieutenant Erica Ortegas, a new character. Exciting.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, who knew? Could have been a toddler Chekhov. Imagine the wig. He's got to grow into the wig.
Oh, my God.
Also, Bruce Horak is playing Hammer and Andorian, but an Anar Andorian. And if you know your Enterprise, you know that those are the white Andorians who are blind but have telepathic powers. And the actor himself, interestingly, is blind and is a visual artist.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
It's an interesting combo.
How do you like your makeup? I don't know. Are we rolling?
Yeah, it feels good. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating. And then Christina Chong will play. Get this. Lan Noonien Singh. Lan Noonien Singh.
Why? Not
a spongy bread Noonien Singh. And not
not flan Noonien
right,
Singh.
not a delicious pudding treat.
Yeah, right.
This is Lan Noonien Singh.
Wow. You know, there are a lot of places you can go, and it doesn't have to.
There's one place you can go, and that's she's related to Khan Noonien Singh.
I
right?
know. I'm just
That's
saying.
the only place you can go.
I'm just saying, why do that? You're
that, or
writing
it's
yourself
the best
into a
bit.
corner.
It's the best bit, and they have to sell it and maintain it the entire time. It's just a coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Like there are other people named Hitler, although I've definitely changed their names after 1945.
Yeah.
But there must have been, right?
Right.
And then depending on how you feel, you're either like, yeah, that's right. Or you're like, it's my mother's name, right? So maybe she's just literally, it's just a coincidence. She had a father named Noonien and a mother named Singh. Got married. It's a huge universe. It's possible.
Right.
And then people are like, no, I'm Lan Noonien Singh.
Why does this keep happening?
And then the first 5 minutes of the first episode, you're like, joke's over. But they keep going. And they go the whole way, up to and including the 4th season, where they save the galaxy for the 8th time, and they're pinning the medals on their chests at Starfleet Academy or at the Federation Congress building in Paris. And the guy's like, Lan Noonien Singh? And everybody's like,
right?
knowing looks, they're like, mm-hmm. She's like, it's just a coincidence. And it's still funny.
Oh,
that's my idea.
I like your idea.
That's their idea.
Yeah, well.
And if that's not enough, number one's name is Una Chin Riley.
What?
It's Una Chin Riley. It's
I'm
just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. She's not Boona Chin Riley. We know the Andorian dictator from. No.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't looked up. I'm sure that I honestly don't care. I know that like it's Una because of Una McCormick, which fine.
Okay.
But like I don't know if you look up. I'm sure you could look up what the Chin Riley is. I didn't look it up. All I know is, okay. So are we gonna call her like Commander Riley, or are we gonna call her number one?
Yeah. Right.
Like, is it dehumanizing that she doesn't have a name? I think that they felt like it was. And so that's fine. But then we have another character who just has a dictator's name.
I know.
It just has a name from something that was written 40 years ago.
Right.
Well, we got to give the Mystique a real name, though.
Yeah, right. Mystique would want that. So, I mean, I guess I get it. But, I mean, Picard calls Riker number one, like, all the time. I mean, but he still has a name, though, I guess would be the argument.
He's also Will. He's Bill in the first
Yes.
season, but they dropped that.
He was Bill? Gosh, I don't remember that. It's been a while.
Trey used to call him Bill all the time.
No.
And then off camera, he's probably like, look, don't call me Bill.
Don't call me Bill.
I know we have a history.
Yeah, right.
I'll be Beardy Bill, and nobody wants that.
No.
So let's not do that.
Yeah, right.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. But I have something else to say.
What's that?
And that is, here's a problem. Here's a problem I've seen. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
So there's a movie out right now on HBO. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of Warner films, it came out both in theaters and on HBO Max.
Sure, yeah.
It's called *Malignant*. It's directed by James Wan.
Okay.
It's written by James Wan and his wife, who is an actress in the film.
Okay.
Don't say okay like everything's fine, because that should have been a okay. And a third person, and we'll talk about the third person in a second. And the movie is being called by some The New Room. Or sorry, The Room. You go like, oh, they called it The New Room. What? No, wait. Sorry, I read that wrong. They called it The Room.
It's two very different.
I myself watched about 45 minutes of it and went, okay, I get it. Yeah. Nope, it's going to be this the whole time. Nobody knows. It's so bad that it borders on being like funny, bad, good. But the thing is that this is a guy that does like, oh, there's a scary person behind your head. You know, he does those movies. He does the doll movies. He does Aquaman made $1 billion.
Yeah.
So nobody knows if he is just
having a
blowing
laugh?
$60 million or if he is like serious about this.
Why would he do that with his wife in the film, though?
Well, he met his wife last year, and she's an actress. from Eastern Europe, and they are writing movies together. And the third person on the film is a woman named Akela Cooper.
Okay.
She has written
that is.
a couple episodes of Luke Cage. She has written an episode of Jupiter's Legacy.
Uh-huh.
Her longest job was being a story editor on one half of a season of Grimm. And mostly is just a journeywoman writing, scripts.
And
she has about 10 credits, mostly single scripts for genre shows. And she is a co-executive producer of Strange New Worlds.
What is with, like, I feel like Trek doesn't, like, vet a lot.
No, it doesn't vet anybody.
Yeah, and
the thing is that you think that there are so many. It must be a real pain in the ass to look at anything that anybody's done before, or just read their sample. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, I've made no stranger of the fact that I believe that the writing quality of all the new series is very up and down.
Yes.
There are things that are super solid. There are things that are like, why did you waste an hour doing that? Scene to scene, there are things that are great, waste of time, blah, blah, blah.
Plot to C plot sometimes, it's like C plot, awesome, A plot, so. So, yeah.
And so I don't know why you would go, wow. So ultimately, streaming numbers high, the people that like it, successful. Our new show, Star Trek Discovery, going into its 4th season. But here's our chance. Here's our chance to counter-program a little. People don't like the long-form storytelling of Discovery. Let's give them short-form storytelling in the form of Strange New Worlds. The original series, Season 4, in all but name.
Yeah.
And who do we want to oversee this masterpiece? Who do we get? The lady writing The Nun 2.
Yeah, what?
I just don't understand. Like, wouldn't you? Maybe the problem is that there just are no premier, sci-fi creators now. I don't know. How can I even say that? That can't be true, right? But I can't think of anybody. Everybody is scratching their heads about who's going to take over Doctor Who. And J. Michael Straczynski goes, I'll do it. Uh-huh. And of course, everybody on that side of the pond laughs because no American's ever going to take over Doctor Who. But I was talking with a friend of mine who lives over there, and we were kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it's proven that he could do this. You know what I mean? He could literally, he could absolutely do a multi-season thing of TV.
Why would it be so bad?
And we have no other choices. So...
Right, like he has a resume of a sci-fi show.
So anyway, I look forward to the episode where Lon Noonien Singh does a backwards fight and she flips around and throws a guy and punches through a lady and stuff like that. You have to see Malignant to understand all that. All right, let's talk about Picard. Picard season 2. The trailer is out.
Yes,
you've seen it.
I have.
Your thoughts?
Well, so it's gonna be different, I guess, which I'm fine with. But I just we're
different
going,
to what?
Different to the first season. Maybe not so android focused, and I don't know if the weird aliens with tentacles will be back. And I'm okay with that.
Picard? They won't be. Do you trust Picard with social commentary?
No,
because
they don't really.
They're in the 21st century.
Yeah.
We have clear Nazi analogs.
Yeah, which,
and
like, again...
some eagle-eyed viewer paused it and on one of the screenshots and saw something that said, rules for the Sanctuary District. So it looks like they're returning to DS9's past tense, only it won't be. It'll be present tense. And you give me $50 right now, and I'll keep it forever. Those episodes will be called present tense.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's crazy.
Why is it crazy? Do you think that they can speak on this moment that's happening right now?
No, not really. I don't. And that makes me angry especially because I love Picard as a character so much. But why?
Really?
Yes.
Haven't seen him for a while.
Well, fair. I was not thrilled with the first season of Picard. So it...
Few were.
Huh?
Few were.
I know. And, like, I was really looking forward to it because I was like, oh, this captain that I love is coming. And it's
we'll
like, why?
Season 2.
But why do we have to go back to the Nazi well? Like, I feel like Trek has done this a fair amount. And it kind of looks like...
I feel like putting an armband on Patrick Stewart is the 21st century version of he's got black on one side of his face, he's got white on the other side of his face. I don't think that these themes don't need to be explored.
I would agree with that.
But at some point, it's not sci-fi anymore. It's just literally what we're living right now. A Private Little War is an episode about how we need to go to Vietnam. Now, I don't agree with that, but it's a giant gorilla with a horn on his head bites Captain Kirk. Do you know what I mean? And then we ease our way into it. I think them going, Nazis, Nazis? I want to avoid the kind of quote unquote satire that is Captain Lorca saying, let's make the Federation great again.
Yeah. Does that even count? That's not like, I get what you're saying. And I would agree with you. That's too on the nose, and that's not really satire even. So,
well, if they wanted to do a story about a pandemic, they've been filming all throughout it and had their production stopped a couple times because of it. So they got plenty of grist for the mill. In this new trailer, we see that they go back in time. We see that Q is involved, obviously. We see a lot of hijinks going on. We see a couple other things. We see that there's a Borg queen.
Yes, I want to.
And unless she's got some crazy ass body mods that she got down on the wharf in Santa Monica, she's not a human Borg queen or a humanoid Borg queen.
Oh.
Now, nobody ever thought that the Borg queen was a human. How would she be? They come from the Delta Quadrant, although you've seen Voyager.
Yes.
So she's different to the Susanna Thompson and Alice Krieg,
I thought. Yeah.
Borg queens.
Okay.
And she's played by Annie Wersching.
Okay.
Who's an actress who, she's on Once Upon a Time or something. I don't know.
Okay, that's really interesting. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that trailer now, knowing that.
You have to have cheekbones to play the Borg queen.
Oh, for sure.
Because we need them to glisten. Because you're going to be greasy.
Well, you're going to be greasy and not have hair.
She's got the cheekbones.
So, yeah.
To make this happen.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to see Q again, even though it's like he's kind of causing this in a way.
We talked before about the writing and people being dissatisfied.
Yeah.
We're going to learn what made Q so interesting all these years, aren't we? We're going to learn whether it was good writing or if it was just the charm of one Mr. John Delancey.
It might have been a little bit of both.
What's the worst Q episode? The DS9 one.
Yeah, the DS9 one. It doesn't even really hold in my memory. I was even like the ones when he shows up on Voyager, like where he's like in like the Civil War with Janeway. Like that's memorable. That's not necessarily good, but it's memorable. You remember that, you know? It's not necessarily a bad one, but there's a lot going on in that episode.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure all these shenanigans are down to him. Here's some shenanigans that he's not responsible for. Bryce Dallas Howard is directing 2 episodes of the show. Has directed. They're done. She did them already.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I shouldn't... I say that and I stick my nose up, but she's directed a couple episodes of The Mandalorian and I haven't hated those. So, I guess she's a TV director now and that's a sci-fi show. So at least that's... I mean, it might be...
She was barely a movie star.
Yeah.
Let's face it, right?
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
she
her
was
dad is...
second film. I'm not saying that she... I mean, obviously, she can't help but gain from her association with her father. But
sure.
She's, she's been in some films and some TV appearances and done fine, but never... I don't know how hard she went at it, but if she just now then becomes, like her father, a guy that was in one of the most successful shows of all time, and a movie from the guy who would go on to do Star Wars, and then went, I'm going to direct.
Yeah.
It would totally make sense, wouldn't it?
It would. I was just thinking that too. Yeah.
When did she lose her hair? That's what I want to know.
Oh, stop it.
We don't know much about Disco Season 4 except that it comes out the 18th of November. So, remember,
oh my gosh,
back in the day, all those years ago, before all this started, when we would watch, season 1 of Discovery, and they go, we don't know when it's coming back. And I'm like, it'll be back in the fall. And people are like, you're crazy.
Yes, I do remember
it comes
that.
back late October. Well, they did it again. Because we just got done watching this last... How did they do this in a pandemic?
I don't know.
It's back. It's coming back in November.
I know.
That's amazing.
They must start
That lady had a baby.
I know. They must start filming like while it's on. While
I'm
the
sure
episodes are
they haven't
airing.
finised like 13 episodes. I'm sure it's just
Right.
the first couple, but still, it's they have this down to a science.
They
now.
crank those things out.
So they'll be fighting the COVID monster come November.
Oh, terrifying.
Yes. What else is going on? Lower Decks. Lower Decks is Lower Decks. In fact, if you want to hear more about Lower Decks, join us on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central, where Discoverage, our show talking about CBS Trek shows, will be talking about every episode of Lower Decks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, talking about Star Trek Prodigy
Yeah.
in October. Let's talk about Star Trek Prodigy. It comes out on the 28th of October, just in time for Halloween.
Spooky ooky. I don't know.
Now that I know that the boss of Nickelodeon is now the boss
Right?
of Paramount, this makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Although I definitely think it makes sense, just as a rule, to try to sell Star Trek to kids, and that's what they're doing here.
I think so too.
They have released the opening sequence of the show. You can watch it as a video on YouTube, and also they've released a story trailer.
Yes.
Which you've seen.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's still very intriguing to me. So I am really looking forward to it. They give you it's just enough for a tease. We learn, I guess, a little bit more about these characters and what they're going to be like, and they're trying to escape some life that they're not really happy with, and they're a group of scrappy teens who don't really know much about Starfleet or what the Federation is, and I think that's interesting. And then there's Janeway as a hologram, so. But I think you had mentioned, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself.
How is she going to feel when she's told she's a hologram?
Good question. And will the Doctor show up? Because probably not. That's too inside.
Actually, he probably absolutely will, because they're like best friends.
They are like best friends. It's cute.
But yeah, after all the crap that she gave the Doctor year after year, and now she's a hologram. It's like, ugh.
I think she probably would take her a minute to get used to that.
Program me some black coffee.
Yeah, exactly. I think you mentioned that Chakotay is going to show up in this.
We don't know. And I don't want to talk about it, honestly.
I don't really want... it makes me mad.
I don't like it.
No Chakotay in the kids show. Stop it.
Okay, so I get Farscape vibes from this.
Yes!
A group of a multiracial, multi-alien crew on a stolen, unfamiliar ship running from an insane military commander. Is anybody out there? Help me, please.
Yes.
That's how I feel about this. That's fine. That's a good pitch. But they're heading somewhere. Is it to the Federation? Is this
probably.
This is Voyager again, right? This is just Voyager.
Except they're not.
They're on a ship with a pointy face.
Yeah.
Maybe they are lost and they're heading from danger to safety. They've just redone Voyager, and they've literally put Captain Janeway back in command.
No, you're right.
So is the end of Star Trek Prodigy them pulling in and fireworks going off?
No!
And then we'll see if regular Janeway is as long as hologram Janeway. Yeah, my nightmare scenario for the Chakotay appearance is maybe we're going to have a runner, because this is already Voyager, right? Yeah. So maybe we've got a Pathfinder project thing going on. So there's a virtual Janeway on the Protostar, their ship.
Yes.
But we're also tracking the life of Janeway post-Voyager at home.
That's interesting.
And she gets a call in the middle of the night, and it's like, Admiral... because she's a vice admiral at this point.
Right.
We've just got the word that we found the signal. The Protostar is active. And she's like, I'll be right there. And then, from behind her, oh, what is that? Akuchimoya rolls over. It's Chakotay.
I hate it so much.
I know. I'm going to bleach my brain after we're done here.
There was a brief time very early on watching Voyager where I was like, maybe I could see it, and then I was like, no, I'm done.
Don't want to hear
I'm
about
done.
it.
Never.
So anyway, that comes out on October 28th. The little ball thing.
Yeah.
Inside of that.
Yeah.
Is a Medusan.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
And if you look at the Medusan, you go insane.
That's right. Oh, okay. Interesting. I bet the kids don't know that necessarily.
That's the twist.
Yeah.
It opens
What
up the
is
thing
that?
and kills all the other cast members.
No.
New cast! Let's talk about Section 31, the show. Oh, it's coming. We've been told. A press release several weeks ago. It's real. It is in production. Now, they've kept us on the wire. They've tantalized us this whole time.
Yeah.
But it is for real going forward. If your name was Bo Young Kim, or if it was Erica Lippold, you would finally breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
You can get to work on this thing.
Yeah.
And so they are working on it. It'll have an ensemble cast because it's a Star Trek show.
Yeah.
But obviously,
Star Trek.
Michelle Yeoh will be the main star. I don't watch Chinese TV. Has Michelle Yeoh ever been on a TV show before?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a really good question. I know she was
Because this
like
is the biggest deal for me.
I know.
I don't care they're doing a show about Section 31. Like the fact that Michelle Yeoh, like the queen of Hong Kong cinema, is like,
I know.
I'll do TV. Sure, why not?
Well, I mean, she was on Discovery.
Yeah,
for...
as a featured player.
Yeah, right.
But like when you become the Ted Danson of a show, like that's now you are a Ted Danson. She's gonna be a Ted Danson.
Do you remember Michelle Yeoh's gonna be a Ted Danson? Yeah, it's awesome. I don't know what she did before she was in like Jackie Chan and other like Hong Kong like martial arts films. So I have no idea. Like I can't picture her. Like I just hope she's kicking butt, and I'm excited for her that she's gonna be. I'm excited that she's gonna be the Ted Danson. I think that's a cool thing to do. You know. I feel like Section 31, we would, if it was real, we wouldn't even know about the show and then it would just be out. But, we're hearing little tidbits, so I guess that's a good thing that it's
We've been
actually
hearing tidbits forever, though.
Yeah, I know.
It has been said that this will not premiere until one of the other Trek shows goes off. So 5 Trek shows is all they want on at once, and I would say 5 average of 15 episodes. You've already run out of weeks in the year. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, good thinking there. Good thinking.
Yeah, right.
Too many shows.
Right.
They don't want anything to run against something else. Which is like, I don't know, DS9 and Voyager did it fine, as TNG and DS9 did it fine. But anyway, I'm not going to tell them how to do their thing. We are talking about 5 shows here. They did ask Paramount Plus programming chief Julie McNamara about when this show might come out. And she said that she reiterated the idea that they don't really want to have more than 5 shows out at a time. Mm-hmm. And she said, quote, whether there's a show that comes up that feels additive, and we should add that into the mix, or waiting for attrition of another Trek show, we feel good about where we are. And then she went on to talk about current series possibly, quote, aging out, and, quote, perhaps an older lead is only committed to a certain number of seasons. Quote. She also said, quote, Patrick Stewart might freaking die.
What? No, she did not.
No,
you added that last one.
I think we're counting on Picard being the first to fall.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of amazing that like he's like, yeah, I'll do more Star Trek. It's not like just like a movie. You know what I mean?
It's weird. Let's talk about another show that might be one of those shows that replaces Picard, the Starfleet Academy show.
Yeah.
Can you believe that this thing is freaking real? I don't want any credit. I want no credit. But I have been talking about the existence of this for years.
Yeah.
Even while it didn't, did I make this happen? I don't even want to watch this.
It's like the Star Trek Bigfoot, you know? You're like, I heard it. I know it's real.
No, it's like the Star Trek, the Traveler took me out beyond the boundaries of reality where thought and science and motion are one. But yeah, this thing is real and it's actually going to get made. Although Kurtzman will speak up about it and then say nothing about it. He knows when something is a go and when it's not. Mm-hmm. And so for the last 18 months to 2 years, when Michelle Yeoh was off making $1 million, she was in Gunpowder Milkshaking and she was Crazy Rich Asianing and she was just making a ton of money and she wasn't around to sign anything. He's like, we are committed to this, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's real because she's tired out and she's come back.
Yeah, right.
And so the fact that he's talking about it now makes me think this is really going to happen.
Yeah.
And he did it unprompted. He was, Will Wheaton did a whole thing this is where all this information comes from. He did a whole thing on Star Trek Day. But he did a pre-recorded thing with Kurtzman because he was off filming a non-Trek project. Oh, you got time for that, Alex? Anyway, good luck on that. And he said he brought up, like, without really any prompting, the idea about Starfleet Academy and the fact that there has been conversations about it and they're excited about it. And he even uses, maybe this is just a chance to, like, maybe this is just tap dancing, but he even brings Will in and he talks about, like, your character on the show was like this fresh-faced character who was in the Academy, but we never got to see that. Wouldn't that be cool to see that? So he's like continuing to weave the dream.
Yeah.
But, when can I trade my money for the dream? Take my money and I'll take the dream.
Right. Do you think on the show, we'll have a character that, like, is struggling to get through? I mean, do we want to see that? Because then that means, like, do we want a person who struggles to be in Starfleet and, like, struggles and overcomes? Or do we want to see somebody flunk out? I mean...
Well, so shout out to Animatterpod, who talked about Lower Decks this week, and who also does not like Lower Decks. They'll never say that they don't like Lower Decks.
They're too nice.
They do say it's not for them. But they do love Mariner, but they both agree that Mariner would be better off not in Starfleet. And why does
That's true.
Why do all the characters in Star Trek have to be in Starfleet? Well, it's only been 50 years that they've done that, but I agree with you. We need to get beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I think that there's nothing wrong with Mariner. Every Star Trek character is, in their own way, a renegade to what they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of all the Star Trek characters. Go ahead.
So many.
Name one of them.
Yeah, Troy.
Troy. You know, she doesn't even wear a uniform.
I know.
The guy's got to yell at her to get a uniform on. You know, it's like everybody has their departures from stuff. And, like, I just don't think that... I mean, it's hard to say what Mariner's character and series arc is at this point, but clearly she doesn't like authority, and so maybe that means she shouldn't be in it. But we've had plenty of other characters who have not liked authority and have turned out fine, like Tom Paris, who's signing plates now.
Right, I know.
So I just think that this is part of Mariner's journey. I don't think that she needs to get out of Starfleet necessarily.
I think that she wants to be there. Nobody's forcing her to be there.
Well, she clearly needs friends. I wonder if the show is ever really going to have a point where she just... realizes that we've gotten close with, like, the one where she, kind of, that's more about, like, their own connection, but where she and Boimler kind of, not make up, but sort of bond. This is more than I ever thought I'd get out of Lower Decks, so thanks, I guess.
You're welcome.
Everybody's favorite character is Ensign Ro.
Yeah.
She didn't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah,
but she's sick of the Cardassians oppressing her people.
Yeah.
And so she's going to not follow orders, and she's going to do all that stuff. Everybody loves it when Kirk never follows orders.
Yeah.
Nobody has to follow orders. Yeah. Everybody struggles to find their place in this thing.
Yeah, no, that's true.
I just agree with them, and I'm going to put words in their mouth. I agree with them in that we can take those conflicts out beyond the boundaries of I am in a college/military. It's called Starfleet.
Yeah, right. Do you think they'll have a Gardner character?
What?
On Starfleet Academy show. Like, wasn't the groundskeeper, the Gardner, what's his name?
Well, sadly, Ray Walston has, long gone from this world.
I know.
He's gone back to Mars. And so it would have to be like son of Boothby.
Right.
Boothby Jr.
Boothby Jr.
Boothby Toothby. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Mikanhana and at justenoughtrope.com.
What's coming up by Just Enough Trope?
We will be talking about the new series, Why the Last Man. And
answering the question, why The Last Man? What's that series about?
The series is about... It's based on a comic, and all of the men on Earth, except for one, have suddenly died and fallen ill. And
this thing has been in development for years.
Yeah,
never a good sign. Star Trek 4, and it's had gone through a lot of different cast members and leads and all that. At one point, Barry Keoghan was supposed to be the lead, a guy who's like, I don't think you should be a Ted Danson yet, buddy. You got a lot of movies ahead of you. You've been in Yorgos Lanthimos and Christopher Nolan movies. Like, you're doing fine. Don't take the TV deal yet.
Yeah.
Although he will be in Eternals. So he is taking the Marvel money. But, you know, one of the most famous scenes that I can think of that he was in was the spaghetti eating scene from the movie The Killing of a Sacred Deer. And so what if we took Barry Keoghan's character from The Killing of a Sacred Deer and he was the last man? And then you got all these ladies that are like, oh boy.
All right.
Gotta give me some of that last man. And he's like, hold on. I've got to finish this spaghetti. It's like on his shirt.
Okay, you know what? I'm glad
Oh, the way he eats spaghetti is so... We have to keep the race going. Why? Why the last man?
Yeah, that scene's really gross and very memorable. And probably one of the ones that sticks out the most to me from that film, although there are a lot. If you haven't seen that film,
they don't have to
watch some Yorgos Lanthimos.
They don't have to go the whole way. Just like one scene where he's like scavenging for food and he sees a plate of spaghetti and he's like, I don't think so. And he just keeps going.
Not today.
And tell people where they can find Sailor Noob.
Yeah, you can check our show out wherever you listen to podcasts. It's Sailor Noob, and we're also on social media, so search for us there, and you can find us posting pictures and memes and all that good stuff.
Great. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to have a plate of spaghetti.
Oh, God, gross. I'm going to leave.
BackTrekking is back for an all-new season. Hi, I'm Caliban.
And I'm Gooey Fame.
And we'd like to introduce you to BackTrekking, the podcast that explores the real-world inspirations behind your favorite episodes of Star Trek.
From historical events to classical literature to blockbuster films, we go where no pod has gone before to seek out the origins of classic Trek tales.
Did you know, Gooey, that the TNG episode Too Short a Season was an allegory for the Iran-Contra affair?
Yeah, only sweatier. Did you know that the Enterprise episode Regeneration was an homage to the John Carpenter film The Thing?
Archer and T'Pol freezing to death over a bottle of whiskey would have been a controversial ending.
As a dog lover, Archer would not like The Thing, I'm guessing.
Oh my god, movie night is canceled. Join us every other Thursday for a journey back to the beginnings of the Trek universe.
BackTrekking is available wherever you get your podcasts.
No, Porthos!